Hello guys, this is Paula and I am back to do a little bit of work on the Mary Poppins book. Now, if it seems all unorganized, it's because I haven't got a plan. So we're just going to work on some embellishments, but I will tell you this, that this is the vintage eyelet lace that I showed you in a haul the other day. And I used some old scraps in this book as fabric scraps. And I haven't done anything with the strings yet, as you can see. I've cleaned the book up. I've used the carousel paper that I ordered. And I've used the teacup or teapots fabric because they do mention having tea in the book. It says a jolly holiday, but it's not a Christmas book. It is just what they called a holiday, going and having fun. And so that is where I'm at with this. I am, however, going to be using a lot of Christie's lace. Christy over at Ooh La La Crafts on Etsy, and I will link her below. She was so kind as to send me some samples of different ribbons and fabrics, and she has beautiful stuff. And it just so happens that in the things that she sent me, there was some that just seemed like Mary Poppins. For instance, like this ruffle here on her dress. You know, there's some styles that just seem very vintage. And so yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, so I haven't broke it in yet, so it's still kind of, I mean, I literally just bound this book just a little bit ago. So what I thought I'd do first is bring over this ribbon that is from Christie's shop. And I'm really wishing I had something to lay this stuff on. Let me see if I can find something white or something close to white, so that whenever you see if that's better. No, that's not really better, is it? Let me see. I'll find something. Even if it has to be a color. I just want you to be able to appreciate the beauty of, let's see, how's that? The lighting in here, just, I don't know if it's my camera, but this is like a teeny tiny ruffle, gathered ruffle that's pleated, and it has sequins that run down the center, and it's a wavy shape, which reminded me of what she had on the front of the cover. Now I have a couple places I want to use this, and of course I don't have them marked, so we get to flip through and look for them. There's a lot of vintage pages in this book, and I used, and there's a lot of extra pockets and so forth. I used I will stop and show you this pocket that I made. I just quilted it out of scraps and put a couple little appliques from a big doily that I cut apart, and there's nothing fancy, and then I just glued that in like that and made a journaling tag. Now the center page is gold and white, and I'll show you the other things as we go along, but right now I'm going to try to get to the things we want to make so we can get as much as possible done. I have two blue tucks, big tucks, that I want to use this ruffled lace on. So let me make sure this is the right size. I cut a couple of them out ahead of time so we wouldn't have to deal with measuring. Look how beautiful. Christy, this is perfect for this book. Now, I got to go straight down right here with my Fabri-Tac. And even though it looks like it's curvy and wavy, it is really, we need to make it, that portion of it, straight. I wanted it to be on a solid color because I thought you could appreciate the beauty of it much more. And so I'm just putting glue where the sequins are. And when I cut it apart, I put a little bit of glue on each end so that it doesn't unravel the sequins, which I don't think would have been a big problem anyway. Look how pretty that is. Now this one little side wants to stick up and I don't want it to get grabbed on anything. It's just here at the bottom. So I'm just going to glue straight across the bottom. Just a little bit. I might do that on both sides. Then we don't have to worry about that happening. Do you remember, I don't know, some of you are too young, I'm sure, but we used to have to wear we would wear pleated skirts to school. And they would be permanently pressed in your skirts. And you just don't see that anymore. It's, you know, well, I think in some private schools you might. My granddaughter goes to private school and she does have some pleated skirts, but they're not as many pleats as what I recall that we would wear. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I don't glue my pocket shut. And a little bit right here. Now I'm going to do this with two pockets, but I'm only going to show, there's another pocket identical, but I'm only going to show this one unless we have time at toward the end. That way. Now I'm going to turn it around so you can see. Isn't that pretty? How pretty that is. It definitely makes a statement, and it definitely, in my opinion, says Mary Poppins. So pretty. Okay, so now let's move on to the next thing. And I've had a hard time deciding what to do with what, so because there's just too much to decide, you know, and I just kind of thought, well, I'll just put it together and find out. Now, first of all, I want to show you this beautiful, beautiful. You have got to go over and shop. You'll be amazed at some of the stuff she has. I believe she also has this in a coffee stained. And this is little tiny rosebuds with little wooden beads stitched through with like a little, it's just adorable. And this is like a little flower right here. Let me kind of tilt this different direction so I can be sure you're seeing it. Is that not beautiful? I've been real excited to use this one. So what I thought was that we'd do a tag. And the reason, this is a tea stain tag, and it's so funny because I think these manila tea stained tags stain different than white ones and the craft ones. Of course, I don't really tea stain my craft ones, but you really have to put a lot of heavy ink on them. And in the beginning, I had different types of pans because I was experimenting a lot, you know, then. But I'm also going to, here on the tops, I'm going to kind of work it in. And on the bottom. And actually, yeah, I'll use this as our main side. Now, this came out of an old vintage book. And it is it glaring? Let me see. I hate it when I can't tell from, if I sit down, I can't get a good, but these are old vintage teapots. Aren't those cool? And this wasn't the only one. There's another piece to this. And if we have time, we'll make something out of it too. It's somewhere on my table. But I want to put it down here on the tag. And then decide if we want to bring it all the way down, or like bring it all the way down to the end of the tag, or it's just hard to decide. But I do know the teapots are white, like the ribbon. The background's kind of almost a brown, so that goes well with the so I think this is how I want to do it, just like this. And my scissors have disappeared. There they are. And I want to cut it just like this side is so clean, cut so clean already, so I'm going to leave it just like it is. And then we'll cut this side, if I can do it without everything sliding on me. Can you imagine stopping every day at certain times to have tea and putting on your clothes to go have tea? Oh my, we wouldn't get anything done. They had way more time on their hands than we did. I want to say this is my favorite lace, but I wouldn't be telling you the truth because I really can't decide which one is my favorite. So we're going to glue. This came out of an old country Christmas magazine. And you could tell it's really yellowed. And as a matter of fact, you know, the haul that I showed you guys the other day with all the old vintage lace, this was one of the books that came out of it. And it's so funny because this page was loose and it just kind of fell out. And I was like, how convenient. How convenient is that? It's hard to see where I'm putting the glue because it is so, the coloring is not what you can see well as far as where you're putting glue and where you're not putting glue. But I do want to make sure it stays down in the corners. And okay. Okay, I think I'm going to leave just a tiny bit of, just a tiny bit. Why is that not sliding over? I mean, it's stuck straight down and it does not want to move. So it's all right. I'll just ink it a little bit more. That is so weird though. So I'll just trim this tiny bit off here. You get a better fit if you make it a little bigger anyway. You don't run the risk of it not fitting perfect. Okay, now that laid down nicely. Oh, that's so pretty. Now, let me get a wipey so I can make sure we don't let this crazy glue go everywhere. It's at that leaky point. I think instead of putting it on the tag itself, I'm going to put it on the back of the ribbon here at the top. Maybe just a little bit on each little portion there. Okay. We're just going to put it straight across. I hope my head doesn't get in the way, guys. But I want to make sure I get it straight. Let me look here. Kind of hold it up a little bit. Yeah. That's perfect. Looks perfect. Now, I've got to look for my I couldn't find my pink seam binding or my green seam binding, and I thought that those two colors would look the best with this tag. So you'll have to see it. I do have some, but I don't have, all I have is coffee stained or white. And I don't want to put white up against all this white. Do you know what I'm saying? So, ink that a little bit more right there. Make it darker on the edges. I don't know, I may not have inked it there. Okay, so here's project number 2 with the lace. I'm going to set this to the side. Oh, here's the rest of this little tea paper. So I've got to use it somewhere. Somewhere in the book it has to be used. Okay, and I have another little vintage carousel, which is weird because there's, you know, there's carousels also in the book. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with that yet. I'm going to set this book out of the way, though. It's really in my way. Okay, now, this I can't decide on, okay? Christy sent me this sample that looks like what would be on the sleeve of a bridal dress. And I don't want to use it all on one thing. But I really like this tea stain look up against it. So I'm going to try it and see what happens. I'm going to take this tag out. Some people wouldn't want to put the tea stain with the white, but I like the way it looks. So there's just something about it I like. There's some things you just don't even consider changing the color of, and I feel like it's this. So I'm going to cut this straight in half. And it's like she cut it just the right size for this bag. I got to think about where I need to put my glue. So I'm just gonna put a very light layer here at the top part. I mean, it's going to be really flat. And then I can always trim it. Letting this one little piece, because you can't see this glue, and that's the nice thing about Fabri-Tac. Can't see where it ends. And then you've got flowers on the back of this that you can put some Fabri-Tac to hold it down. The flowers that have all the beads, or the pearls, I mean. Pretty, pretty. I would have been, this is just being honest, I would have been afraid to try this if she had not sent me this sample. But now I know, without a doubt, this is something I would buy. Because you think of junk journaling, you don't think of a beautiful lace like this. And I've seen some other people use it with more of the grunge look too, and it's just it just looks great. I love the way it turned out. Now I'm going to trim these edges, and then I will go along the edges and put glue if it's necessary. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, we should put a little bit, just a little bit down inside there. Just a little swish. Because I don't want it grabbing on things. I'm not sure how I'm going to use it in the book yet. I just knew I wanted to make it. Let's see what this side looks like. Yeah, it needs a little bit too. Sometimes, do you ever feel like you need like 3 or 4 hands? That's how mine are right now. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, what are we going to put inside? I had a tag, but now I don't know. It's so pretty. I can't decide. I'm going to think on that. Let's think on it for a few minutes before we just jump in, and let's let it dry. And but let me bring it up and show you. Can you see? It's hard to see in here for some reason. To me, it looks so pretty. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now, look how fast we've done 3 things. Bam, bam, bam. Now, I do want to do a guess check. So, while that's drying, now's a good time to do a guess check. I just started throwing stuff on the guess check. I don't have any big plan. So, I think we need to ink it. And I think it needs to have some muslin on it somewhere. And I was just going to collage it, you know, because I love to collage stuff. And I just thought, well, we can use stuff from different things. Now, this is tea-stained muslin here. Now, my thing is do we want to do it like this and then ink some of this vintage paper? I've got vintage music sheet. I have a really old Grimm's Fairy Tales book that I've been tearing stuff out of. I don't know, I want this up or down. Here's the little, my son-in-law found this for me in Cincinnati, Ohio, when he was there with my grandson one time. And he called me and he said, I just found this really old, yellowed up, worn out, beat up book. I said, bring it. I said, I'll see if I can use it. And you know, it's really perfect for this sort of thing. But I haven't used it before today. I just have kept forgetting about it. And so now there is some fabric here. I'm going to darken it up a little bit. And this is the teapot fabric. And I thought it might look cute to kind of just give it a little bit of ink and just kind of put it on here. Where? I don't know. Don't ask me. There's no plan. Do we want to do it in the middle? I don't think so. I don't like that. Do we just want to kind of turn it? Because that's the problem sometimes with collaging. We get wrapped up in keeping things certain directions, you know. I think I'm going to cut this off. Be ready. Here it goes. It's gone. I love my Tim Holtz scissors. I'm telling you. They can have glue all over them and they still cut. I think I'm going to do it like that with the green underneath. And I really, whoops, excuse me. I really don't have any major plans. Let me see what else is in my goodie bag that I can put over here. Let's see. I don't want to use all of my goodies up with one. Look at this, you guys. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah. Look how pretty. Look at that. It's incredible. That definitely came off of some beautiful dress. And then I've also got this, which I kind of like. I thought about this for this particular thing. I thought about maybe putting some across the top or even down lower. Maybe just a couple. I like that. Sold to the next buyer, which is me. And then I'll decide. Now I can't forget where I had everything because that's just not good. Okay. So I'm going to start gluing. So the first thing we need to do is glue down here. I'm not going to go crazy. You guys are laughing at me, I know, because you know that I say that all the time. I'm not going to go crazy with the glue. And then I usually do. But see, that's not too bad. That's not too bad for me. Except this is folded under a little bit because I couldn't decide what length I wanted it. But that's okay. We'll just keep it folded under until we decide. I can either leave it or turn it. Let's just leave it. Is that straight? Yeah, straight enough. Okay, so let's do the music sheet next. I've had this lace, and the reason I haven't used it up until now is because we were doing so much Christmas stuff that I just knew it wouldn't go with what I was working on, and I wanted it to look fabulous because it was so pretty. Okay, so now put some on this little guy. And I just realized I should have put this under my music sheet, so I'm going to raise that up a little bit. Always put it back down. Okay, now my dilemma is I don't really like the fabric down here that much. So I'm looking around, seeing what else I've got. I do like the carousel because it will go with what we're going to do in the, you know, it will go with the book. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do the carousel down here. Do I want to let a little bit of the lace trickle out? I don't know. This is what you call not having a plan. And it's the kind of crafting I like to do when you just don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're going to do. You just kind of decide. I've got some of these cute little, let me grab one. I need something that's in the color, kind of in the same colors a little bit. I've got all these cute little tiny tags, but now I wouldn't want to show the whole tag, but it would be kind of fun to show parts of it, maybe. For instance, these little hearts on the end, I kind of like those. But do I do them to the side? Or do I do them at the top? See, I like that better than what we had. What do you think? I think it's fun to do different stuff. The unexpected when you're doing stuff like this. And the fact that the horse has the black in him, I did put a little bit of green down here. I'm still looking here, thinking in this stack. Don't want to do anything too bright. And let me make sure which side is correct. It's this side here. I don't know if I like this being that far down. But then again, what do you guys think? I know you can't tell me, and that's the hard part. Now I'm not going to leave it like this, but I want to kind of see what it would look like with either more printed stuff under it. See, that's not going to work. Okay, that's not what I have in mind at all. So maybe if we bring this stuff up. Let's bring this stuff up because I think it'll look better. You know, do the carousel up here because I know I want this lace up here. There's no doubt about it. And see, that will look better because it's closer to the top. It almost looks like a collar, doesn't it? Okay. And you know what's going to happen now? We're going to get down to this bottom level, and I'm going to have to come up with something for this. So, let me think. Let me think for 1 minute what I want to do. I brought out a... Now, what started out as a neat pile is not a neat pile anymore, just so you know. Whoops. I brought out this little rosette. Let me see what it looks like in the camera. This was just a little extra thing I had in my stash, and I think I do like that because it takes up that extra space. Because I don't want to add unnecessary paper down here. Okay, let's do that. I could be here all night trying to figure it out. You know me. Okay. Okay, so this is already glued down. So the next thing we need to do is put our carousel horse back up here and go ahead and put the glue on the back of the hearts or the tag. And slide it under where we want him to be. Just want to make sure I get it straight. Okay. Now this time I'm going to remember that I got to put my fabric under here. So let's do that before we completely lay the little carousel guy down. Let's get it up here. Let's hope that it's straight. Looks pretty straight. I'm going to take the chance. Now, there's nothing under this fabric, so I'm going to just put a little bit under there. This crazy glue. Okay, now for the really pretty part of it. I want these to kind of go up and it to kind of go down. Almost like a collar would do. Gotta kind of hold it up here where I can see. Okay, so this is the easiest way I know to do it, just to put it where I want it. And I'm sure I'll have to go back and put glue in certain spots. But I want it to go up a certain way first. This glue gets so thick as soon as it hits the air that if you don't get it off, it does not cooperate with you very well. Now I know that one side's sticking out more than the other, but that doesn't bother me. It's not so much that it bugs me. Okay, so and hopefully it's not bugging you. I'm going to put some glue right here on the parts that's sticking out a little bit so that they don't grab hold of things. I love using vintage photos, especially if it's some out of magazines, especially if it's something that goes along with, I call it a theme, but it really isn't a theme. It's a theme in my head, I guess. Because I know in junk journaling there's really not a theme. I don't know, some people kind of make things themes, I guess, but cut that one little point off. Okay, there's that part. All right, now as far as this goes, this little rosette goes, I'm going to trim off some of the fussiness around it. I know you know what I'm talking about. We go. Let's see what we got going here. I think that's good enough. I think we can go crazy and be here all day if we don't find a stopping point. I like that well enough. Let me get a wipey here. When you open a brand new bag of wipies, I don't know what's worse, the glue or the wipies, because they all want to come out at the same time. Okay, so this is finished. I know I had some other things I wanted to do. Let me set that aside. Trying to remember. Oh, I know what it was. I started this and then I decided, hey, just wait. Let's wait for the video and do this. So I had just, folded some paper over because it was lined, and I inked it because I wanted it to, be like a little journaling tuck somewhere. And so I went ahead and made some little, like a little side tuck here, and a little card, and a little tag and some paper. Okay, now over here I hadn't planned on anything, but I did know that I wanted to use some of Christy's from Ooh La La Crafts fabric. You guys, her fabric, she pre-washes it, she tea stains it, and she frays it, and it looks like she presses it. There's nothing left for you to do by the time you get it. I'm just saying. And she's also got this. I'm trying to decide if I want to put this on the front or some of this on the front. Look at this, which is so pretty. it is little rosettes, which I love rosettes, but I mean, you can do so much with them. And this is roses with little rosebuds also. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to put something here, a little bit of this here, and then on the front. So I'm thinking, first of all, let's put a layer of muslin here, and we'll go from there. I kind of did the other part. I know you guys have seen me make those many times, these little fold pockets, so I just decided we wouldn't. And this is tea stained. I'm thinking I want to tear a little bit of this. I got a certain place on here I'm trying to get to. I know I'll use the rest of it somewhere. Love it. I absolutely love this fabric. Let's see how big this is right here. I may not want the muslin at all. Or I would have to crisscross them in some way. Let's just see. I may decide not to. I don't know if you can hear my brain turning, but it's turning, because I really don't know which one I want to, or which way I want to use it. Whether I want to use it by itself. And I just had a little rosette over here that Christy sent me. Oh, where did it go? I got more. I just already had one cut off. This is what happens to me. I get stuff spread out everywhere. Well, let me get another one. I'll find it when I pick up. But I'm thinking this might be too heavy, yeah, and too white for this. But let me see. I could put some, where'd it go? It's right here. Some sari silk. Let me grab a piece of sari silk to put under there and see what it looks like. I don't want it to be very bulky on this inside portion. On the outside, it could be more bulky, and that would be fine. We just don't want it like that on the inside, because then you can't really tuck this into a pocket very well, if you know what I mean. I've got a piece here that is just wants to be fluffy. It's determined to be fluffy. Now, I like this. I think it looks better with it than it does without it. But I'm thinking, what am I going to put on it? Or do I need to put anything on it? Okay. Let's see. Might have to turn this the other direction. Doesn't want to stretch out for me. So my husband is charging one of Charlie's Christmas gifts. I think he has as much fun playing, and I can hear an alarm going off, which tells me he's asleep because it's not waking him up. So I'm going to put some glue here to kind of hold this down because it's a little wonky. Okay, see if that'll help keep it in place long enough for me to decide where to put it. I know it's going to go on here, but I think it looks better like this than it does without anything. So let's just do it. I mean, it looks better than just the paper by itself. I mean, how could it not? Look how beautiful it is. He set his Alexa alarm to wake him up at a certain time. And he is...
alarm for what time?
That's Alexa talking to me.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding.
He has some in every room. Cracks me up. It's like, can't even carry on a conversation that she doesn't get into. Okay, so there we have that. And I think that looks cute. I'm going to cut off a little bit of this curliness over here, because I don't like it being curly like that. I don't mind it being a little on the shabby side, but curly is a different story. Okay, now look how cute that is. We haven't even dolled it up yet, and it's cute. Okay, now I'm thinking I want a piece of this rosette to go across this little band right here. But I don't think we need the sari silk under there. You tell me what you think. I think it'd be too much. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm writing, I don't want a bunch of sari silk getting in my way. Okay. I'm trying to get my scissors under there, but it wants to fold under on me. And this 1/2 inch is also from Ooh La La Crafts. Trying to... Okay. If I get my scissors down in there, finally. It's like I have 4 thumbs or something. Excuse me for a minute. Alexa, stop. It's not gonna matter. His alarm is going off in the other room. She's not gonna listen to me in here. I can't wait to rag on him. This is how he does in the morning. He will set his alarm on the loudest thing on your cell phone. You know, the bonk, bonk. And just lays there. I mean, it's right next to him and he's just not moving. And of course, I'm awake at that point, because it doesn't take that much for me. As you know, I'm up in the middle of the night half the time. But anyway, yeah, he cracks me up. I think if it were up to my husband, he would never retire. Which he's been old enough to retire for a year. But he loves working. And I'm not going to complain. Okay, so this is, you know, I know that this pad is sideways. But I didn't want to put little teeny tiny paper there. Now, and I decided over here not to put anything. And so I'm thinking whether or not we should put anything there, like, you know, a journaling card, or I'm looking through what we've got to see if anything matches. Of course, half of it is sliding underneath my mat. You know, we could double up on some. And see, this one's kind of cute. I don't like the gray in there. But there's also blue in a kind of a bluish gray in the fabric. These scissors do not want to do what I want this. I want it to cut like a tag. And I've got one. I don't know why I'm not using it. Now let's watch it. It'll probably be gigantic. It is. Let's see if I can make it smaller. Well, he finally heard it. I'm sorry if you guys could hear that. These probably won't be perfect, but I think once we ink these, and maybe this one needs to be trimmed. It's got some blue sticking out on it. Maybe we can see what this will look like. We may decide we don't like it at all. But I just feel like that's kind of plain. And it could use some pizzazz. So I'm thinking maybe this will give it a little bit. But let's see. If not, it's no big deal. Let's see what a little bit. We probably need to hurry. We're already at an hour, guys. Gotta hurry, gotta hurry. Let's put a little bit of this sari silk underneath one of them. Probably the one on the top. Hold still. It's like chasing a mouse. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, so let's glue that down real quick. That way, if the person wants to put a date or a little bit of journaling on the top portion, they can. And if they want to work their way down to the bottom portion, they can there as well. So let's just kind of line that up. Make sure it's straight. Okay. Let's put the sari silk down. I usually don't add extra for sari silk, but for some reason, extra glue that is, this is acting a little wonky. It's like it wants to do its own thing. So I have to kind of spread it out to get it to do what I want it to do. So whenever I use any of Christy's goodies that she sends me, I will let you know what it is, and I will leave the link. I just hate that I didn't get to spend more time in this video. because there's still a lot more pretty things. I've showed you in a video already the things that she sent me, so if you want to go back and catch that video, you can. Okay, so we've got this tag here, and what I'm going to do with the tag is I'm going to get a little piece of this rosette. I don't like to always decorate a tag necessarily, because the point is to have places to journal. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this rosette in here and just tie a knot. Now, you might be thinking that's not long enough to tie a knot. I don't always tie double knots. It depends, because I don't want it to be bulky. And sometimes I will just add a little dab of glue under the knot. And you'll see what I mean here. If I can get hold of it to straighten it out. And see, that's one of the things I love about her fabrics too, is look how cute that is. I mean, it looks like ribbon when indeed it's not. So we're going to put that right here. And let me trim around this sari silk over here. And I'm not going to make it any perfect shape. I'm just going to trim the bulky lookingness or anything that looks like horsetail or curly hair. Yeah, I think we're good enough there. So that's the inside. So it goes like this and like this. Now, my goal is to decorate the front of this also. But now, I don't know that we have time to do that in this video. I was just going to put some of this on here. So, if I can get it torn. I didn't cut it enough. Just barely nipped it. Plus I have the weakest hands. I have little strings everywhere. Okay. So I'm going to end up with it like this, but I'm going to add, and I don't know what I did with it. I'm going to add some muslin also. There it is. And I think it needs a little bit of color, some little bit of pink or something. I don't know if I like that. This pink is just so beautiful, you don't want to cover it up, you know? And that's the hard part with deciding, you know, what to do on top of it, because it's so pretty. And sometimes less is best, you know? And that's what I'm going to do. I probably will put some muslin underneath or some sari silk. And I'm going to tie a bow or a knot. And I think I'm going to get an old vintage button. And put on here with it. Of course, I don't have this cut like I want it. Let me grab my buttons. I know the other day I had a big old container of buttons. I don't know if they're the right color. And these are not vintage though. But it'll give you an idea, because I got to dig out my vintage ones. These just came with something I won for a door prize. So these are not your super nice buttons. Nah, I don't like those. I'm thinking rather than use, let's see if I have some off-white. There's you a button. Now that's a button. You know, sometimes you want to use colors that, like I've got some pale pink ones in here. Some of them's vintage, some of them's not. You just have to know what you're looking for. Sometimes I think it's easier just to dump them out. And I do that. Now, like that is vintage. That is vintage. I'd like to find this color in a vintage. This is vintage. Can you see all the cracks in this? Oh my goodness. It's got a ton of cracks. You can tell it's been stepped on or something. So you know where I'm headed with this. I'm just going to put some vintage buttons on here. When I do the flip through, I will point it out to you what I did. And yeah. And I really think because there's not any pale pink ones in here, I kind of keep them to get the kind of off-white ones. Sorry. This made a little bit of noise there. Anyway, so I'll get a couple buttons on here somehow. I'll play with it, but I gotta go because it's over an hour, and I don't know what happens after an hour, but people get sleepy. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, and thanks for coming along with me working on Mary Poppins. You know the movie's coming out in December, and I thought it'd be a great time to do the book. So you guys have